Welcome to the Greg Bennett Show. I'm your host, Greg Bennett. And today I'm joined in the studio with Timothy O'Donnell, a good mate and just a remarkable Ironman athlete. And we have a really good time in this conversation. We start with some more serious things. We start with his heart attack, which he had back in March of 2021. We move on and we discuss the Collins Cup, Kona Ironman, and just anything and everything to do with triathlon. And we conclude with some really fun rapid-fire questions. Now, a little bit of housekeeping before we go on. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're enjoying the show, I'd love you to share it. I also appreciate your feedback. If you think I can do things better, I'm happy to hear it. If you also think I'm doing things well, I'm happy to hear that, of course, as well. Or you can support the show's partners, Athletic Brewing, Athletic Greens, Hyper Ice, and Form Smart Swim Goggles, all just great partners, great companies with terrific products. Now, I hope you enjoy this one as much as I did. And remember, success comes to those who endure just one moment longer. A quick mention of the show's partners. These are all great companies and products that I use daily. If you want to support the show, you'd be doing me a massive favor by supporting these brands. This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing. Anyone will tell you that I'm someone who loves to have a beer, and there's always a beer in the fridge for me and or guests that pop in. But with kids, my work, and just my overall health, I can't, and I don't drink often. I can't afford to not be on my game, and I simply don't like the foggy feeling I get by drinking alcohol. So I've tried non-alcoholic beers, but I guess I'm a bit of a beer snob because none of them have measured up to a real craft beer experience that I like. But now with Athletic Brewing, I can have a high quality, just flavorful and award-winning craft beer, and it's only 50 to 70 calories per can. And these beers they fit into any occasion, so I don't have to compromise on my social life or choose between having a great beer and just keeping my clarity. So go ahead and check them out at athleticbrewing.com. That's athleticbrewing.com. Or you can find them at your local liquor store or bottle shop. I'll let you know. I'll be having one every single episode I record. They're that good. This episode is brought to you by Hyper Ice. Hyper Ice is my go-to solution for recovery and restoration. The handheld percussion therapy devices, the Normatec boots, and the vibrating rollers all release your deepest muscle tension and just aid your recovery. I own the Hypervolt Plus, I own the Hypervolt Go, the Normatec boots, and the vibrating rollers. And both my wife Laura and I use them every day before and after workouts and before bed. They're all just so easy to use at home. They're quiet, easy to charge, and have ready at any time. I encourage you to look after your body. Honestly, it's the only thing you get to keep for all of your life. All these Hyper Ice products are just simply brilliant. Get 10% off all Hyper Ice products using the exclusive Greg Bennett Show code GREG21 at checkout. Go to hyperice.com, that's hyperice.com, hyperice.com, and use code GREG21 at checkout. This episode is brought to you by my longtime partner and amazing company and brilliant product, Athletic Greens. I'm using Athletic Greens every day. Great taste, so quick and ready to go. Athletic Greens is a delicious blend of 75 superfoods and vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and a greens blend and more to support gut health, energy, and immunity and stress. I've also been doubling down on Athletic Greens vitamin D. A huge portion of the population are vitamin D deficient, myself included. And right now, Athletic Greens will give you a year's supply of vitamin D for free and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Do yourself a favor and sign up. It makes a great gift for a family member or a friend. So sign up now and get a free year of supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase by visiting athleticgreens.com/Greg. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Greg. This episode is brought to you by Form. In my opinion, Form Smart Swim Goggles are the biggest thing to hit the swimming world. With Form Smart Swim Goggles, you can see all your key metrics while you're swimming: your distance, your pace, stroke rate, and heart rate. The swim data is displayed on the goggle lens, and you can customize the display to see the key metrics that you want to see. I couldn't believe it when I first tried them. They fit like normal, comfortable goggles, and the display is there, but it's not in the way. I consciously look at the lens to see my stroke rate and my pace and my heart rate and distance. If you're a pool swimmer or an open water swimmer, I encourage you to check these goggles out. please go to formswim.com/Greg. Again, that is formswim.com/Greg and get $15 off the Form Smart Swim goggles at checkout, or use code GREG2021 at checkout. All right. Today I'm joined in the studio by a very special guest for the second time. One of the greatest Ironman athletes we've ever seen. One of only 4 to go under 8 hours at the Kona Ironman World Championships. He was last on the show in episode 10, and that chat was a remote conversation. But today, we're in person. We're in the studio. It's always a good time with this man, and I feel honored that he's come and he's sitting down with me here in the studio. So welcome. And thanks for joining me on the Greg Bennett Show, Timothy O'Donnell. How are you, mate?
GB, how you doing, buddy? It's good to be here in person with you.
Oh, mate, it is very good. Now, we had thought about having a couple of bottles of wine.
Yeah, and notice you said glass. You didn't say glasses. You said bottles. Because that's usually what happens when we're hanging out together.
I know. You know what? I just got back from San Marino and the Collins Cup, and I forgot who I was talking to. I think I was talking to Justin Metzler and Belinda Granger, and the three of us were all walking together, and your name popped up. And all of us talked about the massive hangovers we've had when we've had a night with Timothy O'Donnell. And we all come and see you the next morning and you're just training and like life's normal. It doesn't even affect you. And the rest of us are just absolutely knocked off our feet. So I'm kind of glad.
It's the Irish in my blood.
I'm kind of glad that you're just feeling a little bit under the weather, you said. And so we're actually not going to partake in bottles of wine episode.
You have something else for me.
I do. I do. Once again, everybody, Athletic Brewing, non-alcoholic beers, absolutely fantastic. So we're going to crack a couple open now. Which one have you got?
Got the Cerveza Atletica.
Wow, you half Spanish? That was really good.
A little bit. My eyebrows, whenever I go race in Brazil,
they're
South Americans, they confuse me. My eyebrows are so lush.
Well, I got my favorite here, the Free Wave Hazy IPA. This one's a good one. The sweet sound. Cheers, buddy. Not quite what we planned, but it's still a good little brew to have.
It just means that we have to do this again soon.
Yes, I think we're going to have to become a regular. Now, listen, today I want to dissect the Collins Cup a bit, and especially because you were somewhat the founder of the PTO and everything else. I want to discuss Ironman Kona, and what is going on or not going on there.
Kona.
I want to discuss the sport as a whole. You've been in it for a long time, and so some of the changes that you've seen. And then, of course, I want to discuss your recent health scare, which was frightening, and anything and everything else in between, to be honest. You and I, we tend to go everywhere, so I'm happy wherever we go. But let's start with the most recent event, I guess, in your personal life, heart attack.
Yeah. Don't you make me cry again, GB.
Well, he is referring to the fact that I just was on your show, the Tim and Rinny YouTube channel, which if you haven't watched it, you got to get on there. They do a fantastic job. Just really great videos of you guys and your family and your training and everything else. But I was really flattered when you said, Greg, would you interview me for the show, your show? And I said, sure, I'll be your Oprah.
Yeah. Or Dave Skylark for all the interview fans.
Yes, exactly. And so that comes out, that should be out before.
Hopefully, yeah. We got to get our boy Kenny on the editing.
Yeah, Kenny Withrow. Where are you, mate?
Yeah, come on, Kenny.
Yeah. But that was a great conversation. So let's recap that conversation a little bit on this show, just to bring people up to speed of what happened. And so...
Yeah, so, I mean, you were there. We were at Challenge Miami. It was actually during the race, I had a heart attack. I had a 80% block of my LAD, which is also known as the Widowmaker. It's, not an artery you want getting blocked. And they said even during the race, it could have been higher than that. But super lucky. The survival rate is really low. And, I fought through the race. I finished. Probably not a good idea.
Jeez.
But, it happened during the bike. Started getting all the telltale signs, like spreading pain in my chest, pain down my left arm, kind of a lockjaw. And I thought to myself, is this a heart attack? like, no way, there's no way I'm pushing these watts and while this, and having a heart attack. And so I just kept going and got through it. And then after the race, things went downhill. Got taken to the ER. 2 hospitals later, finally got the cardiologist in there, and they did the procedure, put a stent in, and set me on my way. So it's
gee, that was a quick little recap.
It was.
Well, you jumped over a few bits there, obviously, and it was a nice little summary. But on my side, I get this text or call, I can't remember what it was. I'll see you at the party, GB. And I'm like, all right, I'll come back from the hotel and I'll meet you at the party. And then when I got to the party, all I saw you was hopping into a car, and I felt like such a dick because I came up to you and said, "Oh, you never leave a man behind. Where are you going?" Gave you the whole hard time about leaving me at the party, and normally you would give me just a tiny smile or something, and it was your face. It really was like death warmed up, and I left you going, wow. I just felt so bad because, I was giving you a hard time, and then it wasn't a time to be playful, right?
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, GB, that guy. Why am I even friends with this guy?
he's such a prick.
No, I mean, I went to the little after party, and you know me, like to have a good time, race hard and celebrate hard. And and I couldn't even stand up outside. Went inside the RV and laid down. And someone poured me a glass of whiskey. I was still thinking about drinking it. I know that's good stuff, but I
was it 18 years? Was it 18 years single malt?
It was.
All right, well, fair enough.
Excuse me. Yeah, so that's a sign that I'm in rough shape. And actually, I was thinking, kept trying. I just thought it was maybe from the race or dehydration. Yeah. Just kept trying to rally. And then at one point, I'm like, I've gone to the well in Kona and not felt this bad. And this was a 3-hour race. Yeah. Not even a half. So things started to not add up.
But on that, actually talking about the race, you still came 11th?
Man, 11th, yeah, just out of money.
You still beat half the field, though, with a heart attack.
I beat a lot of my buddies. I remind them that
Guys,
all the time.
If you're listening to this and you were beaten by Timothy O'Donnell in Challenge Miami this year, you might want to think about hanging up your shoes because the guy was racing with a full-blown heart attack.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, mate. So then...
And some of the guys that beat me might think that they gave me a heart attack trying to keep up with them.
Oh, that's true. Wow. I was so powerful that day. I almost killed the guy.
Yeah.
I mean...
Jeez, that gave Tio a heart attack.
Jeez. I mean, we're making light of it now. It's obviously 6 months past.
Yeah. Almost, yeah.
Yeah. But were there any moments there, I mean, when you're in the hospital, when you heard the expression, the Widowmaker?
Right.
Were there moments where you were like, wow, that could have been it. I might never have seen my Rennie and the kids again. Like,
I definitely, no matter what I do, I'm always trying to be in a positive mindset. Yeah. And there was, luckily the doctors didn't tell me the nickname or the severity of the situation until after the fact. Actually, even the cardiologist didn't even suspect that it was that bad because I was cracking jokes going into the operating room, and they're like, "You're the happiest guy we've ever had about to get a cardio catheter."
Wow.
And so I don't even know if some of them realized the extent of actually what happened until they went in. They're like, "Oh crap! Like this is a big deal." But there was one point when I was at the first one, I went to one hospital, then they transferred me to another one to do that procedure. But there was at one point where the thought did creep in. They brought the big paddles in, and like the emergency people came running in. I think that's when they realized that I was having an MI or a heart attack. And I thought, oh man, am I going to die? And that thought popped in my head, and very briefly, and I just said, no, stop right there. You cannot think like that. Like, push that thought out of your head right away. And that was kind of that only moment. But I just knew I'm like, your mind can't be in that place. It needs to be in a better place than that.
Wow. That's really scary, huh?
Yeah.
How long, when you say
Kenny, we were talking about him earlier. Yeah. He took me to the hospital, and he's out in the hallway, and like the paramedics are cracking jokes about doing chest compressions and stuff. And he's like, not cool.
Wow. When you say a moment, you had a moment.
Yep.
what are we talking? 1 second, 10 seconds? Like, how long were you thinking
It was short.
You grabbed
Literally,
it?
Greg, like the thought came in, am I going to die? And then immediately I pushed it out of my head.
I wonder if that's somewhat of a trained skill from being an athlete your whole life.
I mean, that's what a race is, right? Or
Yeah.
a lot of your training. And I think, a good buddy of ours, Patrick McEwen, had some kidney failure up at Leadville 100.
He got to 77 miles.
Yeah. And we were talking just yesterday, and we're the dads that almost died club.
I know. You're two of my closest mates, and I'm like, three's a charm. I'm really worried about.
Dude, no, hopefully it doesn't come in threes.
Oh, mate.
But, we were just chatting, like we're almost pre-programmed when we get in those situations to just keep going.
Yeah.
It's almost like, all right, well, you just plug on. And I think you never want to let weakness in. So sometimes you miss some big stuff. You miss the signs. And he, looking back, he had signs of,
he could have stopped earlier and stopped pushing. But I mean, on that with yours, was there anything you could have done to have prevented this? I mean, was it your training? Was it your lifestyle? Was it?
Yeah. This is a great point, Greg, because a lot of people associate, heart attacks with athletes to being some sort of electrical problem or enlarged heart problem, both which problems that can be caused from all the training over the years.
Yeah. But
mine was a soft plaque rupture in my artery. So I had plaque that started building up from genetics, basically. Don't have high blood pressure, don't have high cholesterol, I'm not overweight, I'm not out of shape. It's something that was just, in my body. And so now it's kind of going along, okay, well, how can we deal with that? And now that we know it's there, how can we manage the problem so it doesn't get to that kind of catastrophic event again?
So how do you manage it? What are they saying so you don't get that soft plaque happening again?
So it's so hard because I'm seeing a lot of people, seeing a lot of docs and getting, from your traditional, like preventative type cardiologists to naturopaths to, to the mix and to sports specialists. And you get different answers from everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of science out there to back up different things. People say diet, and then other people say, no, it's just genetics, nothing you can do. So I'm trying to sift through all that right now. There is some stuff with like, not necessarily, there's HDL, the good cholesterol, LDL, the bad cholesterol. Everybody's kind of always focuses on your number of LDL, but it can also be the size of the LDL particle. And just through genetics, I have small LDL particles, which can contribute to plaque buildup. If you think of a golf ball going through a tennis net, they can just kind of go through the wall of the artery and collect. Same thing with autoimmune issues. You can, which my family has as well. It can target the fatty lipids, trying to destroy them, and then actually just clumps them all together and causes a buildup. So these are some kind of deeper issues.
Yeah.
The quick way to do it is take a statin and take an aspirin and be on your way. But I want to try to dig in a little deeper and see what else I can do.
Yeah.
Because, Finn 7 months, Izzy's 4 years, and I want to be around a long time.
Seriously. Yeah. Let's backtrack a little bit there. And, when you finally got Rinny on the phone, because she wasn't obviously down in Challenge Miami, she was, with the little one at home. What did you say to her, and what did she know about it when you finally got her on the call? Well,
luckily we have a great doctor here in Boulder who's our primary care physician, Dave Tusick with Cloud Medical, kind of a concierge service. So I called Rinny when I was in the RV lying down because I couldn't party. Man.
Oh, this race has gotten in the way of a good time.
Not only do you get 11th, you miss the podium, but then you don't get a party, and now you have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great day.
Great day. So, she's like, call Dave. I literally call Dave. It's like probably 8 or 9 at night. So it's 7 o'clock in Boulder, and he picks up and he's like, hey, Tim, obviously he knows if I'm calling him at that time of day or on a weekend, something's up. I told him, and he's like, dude, you need to take some aspirin. You need to go to the hospital right away. So
he knew. He knew.
Yep. And then he was great with Rennie. He's like, okay, this is what's happening. It's like he didn't tell her, didn't get her scared. He's like, it's a quick procedure, simple procedure, and he's going to be all right. So it wasn't until after the fact where she was like, oh man, and she had to hold it together. She's got 2 little kids. That Finn was 8 weeks at that point. So there was, and we kind of wanted to keep it quiet because it's a small community, and one of her close friends, Mary, actually Patrick's wife, Mary, was over, and I think Julie Dimmons, our coach, called Rennie to check in, and then Rennie just broke down, and so luckily she had some good friends here to kind of help her through. Because I was in the hospital for another 2 nights after the event.
Wow! So you stayed down there, and when we look at something like this, when you call it the Widowmaker, give me numbers. What does it mean statistically?
So the numbers I've seen are about 12% survival rate, and that's the average. And then you kind of take into consideration your survival rate is less the younger you are with the Widowmaker, or with a soft plaque rupture or a block in your artery, because as you get older, you develop these kind of little vessels that sprout off of your arteries, and they help move blood around. So a 70-year-old has a much better chance of surviving that than a 40-year-old. But luckily through sport, all the training I've done, I actually started to develop those little vessels earlier in my life. And that was, I think, a big contributing factor to me being here.
So less than 12%.
Yep.
Wow. How has that changed your perspective on life?
Yeah, you have your little moments where it is hard because you get home and life kind of just keeps moving forward, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to deal
Greg's
with this.
still calling up for you to do a podcast. It doesn't matter. Life keeps going.
So we just, when you're dancing with the kids or something, you kind of tear up and you realize how, fragile or fleeting life can be, and how you have to really take advantage of it. And just soak it up and try not to, it's cliche, but try not to sweat the small stuff.
You sound like you're doing everything you can to get to the bottom of it and figure out how to go forward, to be healthy and live a long, productive life. Do you contemplate your career as an athlete now, or are you still waiting for more information? What does that look like?
Yeah, we're going to hopefully run some tests soon, hopefully, after the 6-month mark, so September, October. And, one of the specialists I've spoke with, that the standard thing to do is a stress test with an echocardiogram. So you do a treadmill stress test, get your heart rate really high, and then they, lay down, do the ultrasound on your heart and, observe you. But, he basically instructed me, hey, you're too fit for that. By the time you get on the table, you're
already relaxed.
We're not going to learn anything. So they have some different testing, more like VO2 style testing almost, where they can measure some of the gas output. And I don't know how they do it, but supposedly they're going to be able to kind of give me a green light from there. And my plan is to, the end of the year might be a little aggressive, but definitely 2022, I plan on hitting the start line again.
Yeah.
And I think I'll know personally, and then there's the mental side of it too,
Yeah.
It's something I need to work on. You can't hit the start line and race guys like Jan and
have that in the back of your mind.
Doubt in your mind that you're going to.
Because you're going to, this is what happens in sports. Like you said, you pushed it aside in the race there, because racing and the job of being a professional athlete is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? You become very comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so how do you go there without kind of going, well, now I'm uncomfortable. Is this a heart attack? Is it,
Right, yeah.
You obviously you've been through it, so you know the symptoms, but when your shoulder's a bit sore or you're breathing a bit hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be something.
And I'm going to start working with actually sports psychologists too coming up, just to kind of help work through that, which is something I haven't done in a long time. I used to, back when I was at the Olympic Training Center, this is mid 2000s, they had a sports psych guy there that, I would talk to, but it's been something that I really, I guess, haven't needed since I've gotten older. I have my wife. She's my psychologist.
Yeah, mine too. I call her my little pocket psychologist constantly.
Great rates too. They have great rates.
Great rates. Such perks. I always feel for Laura because it's like, I always felt like I was somewhat.
Yeah, you're the high maintenance.
I was probably more high maintenance at that time. I feel like I've grown a little bit, but But she definitely had her work cut out. Laura could have been a much better athlete if she didn't have to deal with me. That's for sure. But, we are lucky to have our wives as those sidekicks, but sometimes it's not fair on them either,
Right,
some of these heavier things, especially to,
And that's the thing,
manage.
I mentioned we didn't want to tell people what happened. And in that, I forgot that Rini needed support too.
Mm-hmm.
That Rini needed to tell her friends, and, she needed those outlets and that support system. So something to remember as well.
Yeah, it's not all about you, too.
Yeah, it isn't. Even if you're having a heart attack, it's not
all about you, mate. I know. I almost feel like it's almost worse for the person on the sideline.
Yeah.
It's the one that's in it. It hurts, it's painful, it's whatever. But the one on the outside feels helpless.
Yeah.
And then you have in this scenario, you have the burden of, okay, I've got an 8-week-old and almost 4-year-old, 2 kids.
Yeah.
I know. Scary stuff,
yeah,
mate.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold the pause too long this time.
Don't you make me tear up.
Go.
I'm trying to hold it.
Yeah, no. Well, let's shift gear a bit, and thank you for going over that again. And I think it's great for everybody to just understand, to listen to ourselves, even if it's painful.
And know your family history too, Greg. I didn't. There was history in my family, not my parents or siblings, but grandfather, and it's you need to know if you are at high risk from your gene pool. So one of the doctors told me you can't out fitness your genes.
You can't out fitness your genes, people. Listen to that.
Remember that.
That's a good one. I've never heard that before, but that is worth a little bit of. We often hear with the cancers and those kinds of things that and especially now, I'm only a few months off 50. I'm meant to start doing more of the.
Yep. Gonna need to crack a few beers.
All right. Well, let's shift gear. Let's move on. Collins Cup. To be honest, mate, I remember you coming to me years ago. I think I was almost still racing, so probably 5-6 years ago, talking about this professional triathlete. It was called a union at the time. I said, I don't want to be a part of a union. And you said, and then it's changed the name. It's Professional Triathlete Organization. But you are basically the founder of all of this.
Well, I've been there from the start, but I would, I'm just, wouldn't call myself the founder.
T.O. is responsible for it all.
Don't start emailing me with issues that you have.
Well, anyway, you met Charles.
I met Charles,
Charles, what's his family name?
Damo.
So, yes. And you guys were in Arizona.
Yep.
And you'd hang out and you started brainstorming
so this must have been
idea.
Like 2015 or 16.
Yes, it was
because the Pro Triathlon Union started at Challenge Bahrain 2014. All the athletes had a meeting and kind of came together, and that didn't go too well. We had some bad people involved, and luckily Charles came in and totally separately. I think he met, is it Lucy Gossage, who I believe is an MD.
Right. Yes.
And he met her and was just shocked at how little she was getting paid as a triathlete and how this incredibly talented person that could be having a very successful career in the medical field, puts that to the side so she can race triathlon. And he's like, what these athletes do is amazing. And I want to help grow this sport because they should have, a better support system and better, financial gains from this incredibly grueling and arduous sport.
That gives you heart attacks.
Yeah, that gives
No, it doesn't, people. It's like we said, it's genetics. So
and it saves your life too.
And it saves your life. Actually, that's a good learning. Yeah. And so then from there, because I remember riding up with you up one of the hills here and we were talking about it, and I was like, oh,
you were such a skeptic.
I was not a skeptic.
You were a skeptic.
It was the word union that put me off.
Yeah, and I remember that.
I said, look, I don't mind. And look, I've been around since the late 80s and I've been a part of several of these along the way. There's been a couple that have started in Australia in the 90s and so I wasn't skeptical. I think, well, maybe I was a little bit skeptical. That's fair. But definitely the union word put me off because I was like, well, how do we operate where in a sport? Because I was always in a capitalist mindset going, sport is one of the true places where the very best get rewarded, and that's what you aspire to be. You don't get rewarded if you're not the best. You only get rewarded when you become the very best. And so the word union to me sounded a bit almost socialist.
I totally agree.
Yeah. And so when you changed it to organization, did you make that change? That
was Charles.
Charles did that. I think that was a good move. Just in my mind. I know it's a simple little thing, but it kind of affected the way I looked at it.
I mean, honestly, not just athletes, but, other organizations sometimes don't want to work with a union, even if it's not, what they think of as a union, right? Mm-hmm. And the PTO is far from a union.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Absolutely. Yeah.
And especially now, it's for those that it's profit sharing basically. Yeah. So the idea is to build up the professional side of the sport. We'll help grow the entire sport. Mm-hmm. And then as we can get more television time and, big sponsor ad dollars and things like that, when we start generating that revenue, it's a split between the commercial entity and the athletes.
Mm-hmm. A rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Absolutely.
That to me all makes sense. When did the Collins Cup idea come about? Was that anything to do with you, or
So Charles is a huge golf fan, and he loves the Ryder Cup, and he kind of got that idea from the Ryder's Cup, and it grew on me at first. This is probably like 2016. He's telling me about it. I think I still have. He made up these amazing little like media packets and stuff. He really had a vision, and at first I was like, I don't know, but it kind of grew on me, and I'm like, all right, well, you have this vision and like, just run with it. Mm-hmm. And he did. The work he has put into this, it's amazing. And I feel like a lot of the athletes don't understand the work he's put into it and what it's taken to get to this point. And I'm an older athlete, I've already missed 2 Collins Cups where I should have been a part of, on the sideline now. So I'm out of the PTO rankings, running the same thing. So here we are. We're not necessarily benefiting from this as much as some of the other athletes, but this is for the next generation. This is for the younger athletes. So I just hope they keep that in mind and don't take it for granted.
It's funny. Let me interrupt you real quick because I was having dinner with Charles on Saturday night right after the race. Yep. And, he's like, how was it, Greg? And everything. And we were all pretty pumped, because it was a really, I think for the most part, obviously there's things that can improve, but for the most part, it was a great event. But he said to me, I just wished that Tio and Rinny could have been here for and been a part of the race, not just been there and on the sideline, because he had you guys in mind when he actually put all this together. And I know you're being great about it by saying, look, it's for the next generation. But in his mind, in Charles's mind, he was wanting you and Rinny to benefit
absolutely,
from that.
And it just, I think, as anything, it takes time. And, and then we got sidelined for, a year, almost 2 years now with COVID. So, but I was really bummed because, we got up, started what we were watching, and then, we had to go ride. But I really wished I'd been there. And I had a ticket. I was going as the co-president of the board.
You got the best ticket.
It was
$1,500 business class return from Denver.
Man, it would have been. I wanted it. Just for that flight, it's worth it, right?
Well, you couldn't find your passport.
No, yeah. Well, Izzy lost my passport, and then our nanny resigned, so I couldn't leave Rinny while she's training.
And you've got other things that you're working on in terms of your health. I mean, there's a fair bit on there that you can't be just traveling around.
It was just a little too much. But I'm so proud of the PTO for getting such an event off, and there's always going to be critics, and rightfully so to some extent. There's always going to be things we can improve, right? Mm-hmm. But that was the first iteration of a completely new format triathlon event with a budding or athlete-led organization. Mm-hmm. We should be applauding this because that's a hell of a feat, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Look at the first Kona. Look at the first, Ironman Hawaii. It was not the event. It's not the spectacle that you see today. There weren't people flying in from around the world to watch people come across the finish line of a Leahy Drive. Well, wasn't even in Kona at that point, but it takes time to grow something truly, truly special. And I think this was an amazing step forward.
A quick mini break to remind you of the show's incredible partners. You can get 10% off all Hyperice products using the exclusive Greg Bennett Show discount code GREG21 at checkout. Go to hyperice.com and use code GREG21. A quick reminder to do yourself a favor and sign up to Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens also makes a great gift for any family member or friend. So sign up now and get a free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase by visiting athleticgreens.com/Greg. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Greg. If you want to see all your key metrics like pace, distance, stroke rate, and heart rate while you swim, you need the Form Smart Swim goggles. Go to formswim.com/Greg. That's formswim.com/Greg and get $15 off. Or you can use code GREG2021 at checkout. If you enjoy a beer but want to keep your clarity, stay on your game, then you have to try Athletic Brewing. I was just simply blown away by how good they taste. Just a true craft beer. Go check them out at athleticbrewing.com. That's athleticbrewing.com. So tell me about your thoughts of the actual race. I know that you had to do some training throughout. It was a 7-hour production, of which I sat and commentated for the 7 hours. And
you did a great job, by the way.
Well, thank you, Tia. That's what I was really putting that out there for.
Come on, everybody. Right. Send your comments how much you love Greg.
It was, bring it back to me for a moment. It was actually a career highlight in many respects to sit next to Phil Liggett.
Oh, yeah.
Just an icon of sport, and a 78-year-old man, and just one of the best people you could ever meet. We had a couple of glasses of wine leading into, just not while we were commentating, but the days leading in, and I'm like, wow, I'm sitting.
Yeah, and from watching it, on TV at home, just hearing his voice,
oh, it's so great.
It brings this just like, I don't know, there's like gravity to the whole thing too, right?
Yeah,
like,
it really does.
Made me feel like, oh wow, this is awesome.
It really is
special.
It really is. And look, Phil Liggett might not be in it for the next 10 years or so, but just to have him be on the inaugural one, I just think, like you said, it gave it the gravity. I think it was really special. But what do you think? I mean, looking at the performances of the athlete, the event, the media production, what do you think?
Yeah, all I was doing when I was watching was analyzing, as if I was a team captain.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the matches, I'm like, who picked this matchup? Like maybe this isn't the best for this team or whatever. But I really enjoyed it, and it brought a different, perspective on how you're watching the race too. I do think, like I said, there's always things to improve. I know how many camera crews are out there. So as someone watching it, I was kind of confused. Like, why are you staying on this story so long? Why aren't we getting more feed from the other, the other races, which, will be addressed obviously post with the team. But so if people don't know, there's the Collins Cup actual trophy for the winner. There's 3 teams, right? And then the last team gets the Broken Spokes Award and another nod to the Ryder Cup. And so Rennie and I were watching in the morning, and then we're like, okay, we got to go with babysitters only here for so long, and Rennie's got to feed when we get back, so we got to hit the road. And we're out riding, and Rennie's just says to me randomly, I think the international team is going to get the Broken Spokes Award. And that's exactly like over the years talking with Charles, that's the sort of engagement you want to have. You want people to be thinking about it like, oh crap, like my team's going to get the short end of the stick, and that feel that connection to your team and that kind of, camaraderie. And that's all kind of what we want to build on besides just the individual events. As individual events, Taylor, Nib.
Oh my goodness.
Insane.
I know. I'm going to have
a road bike.
I'm going to have her on the show in the next week or two. We've been chatting. Huge fan. I mean,
I love what she's doing.
I mean, not just physically. She's a woman that called out about this time last year, maybe June, July last year, and said, Greg, any chance I could talk to you? I've listened to all your podcasts, and she's the kind of person that would take notes, during the podcast. She's very smart woman.
Yeah, she's an Ivy League girl.
Ivy League girl.
I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you're fine. And so, I mean, she's so young. It gets difficult, right? Or we're old. It's probably more we're old. So anyway, and she said, is there any chance I could have a conversation with you? And I said, of course. I have a consulting business, but for young athletes like that, I would never charge. And so that's not an open for everybody, by the way. It was Taylor Nib. And so I set up and I called, and we had a lovely hour and a half conversation. And I went back to Laura and I said, this woman is the real deal. It's the real, and this had nothing to do with her physically. It was just the way she was approaching it. Very competitive.
Yep.
Sweet smile and everything, but there's a competitor in there that's just ready to unleash and doing everything she can to figure out how to be better than she was yesterday. And but obviously has some physical ability as well. And her family are into the sport and, great story though.
Yeah.
I mean, on a road bike, riding the way she did.
And she didn't let up.
No.
She
did the fastest time by over 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, she wasn't that far off the men.
No. Well, I think the timing was a little off on some of those original splits that came out. Yeah, I think they had Jan at 3 hours 20 and Taylor at 3 hours 30, but it was actually Jan was 3:13. It was 17 minutes, but it's still a great performance.
Some of the guys were 3:25, 3:26.
Oh, no, absolutely. No,
she swam with us. This is a couple of years ago now. Must have been like 2018.
Yeah.
With Julie's group. And she, like you said, super competitive. And like, she's in the lane next to me, just trying to go at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
Stop, it hurts.
Yeah. But I gave her some advice and I saw her like, I don't know, a month and a half ago or something.
Yeah.
She works with Aaron Carson, our strength coach as well. Mm-hmm. And she mentioned that. She's like, oh, I really appreciate that. It's something that she still remembers. And
I know she's very respectful like that, isn't she? And really appreciates anybody giving her a bit of a helping hand. I know, and which makes you want to help her more if you can.
Absolutely.
At this point, I just feel like I might get in her way.
She surpassed my
exactly. I'm not sure I can help you anymore, Taylor.
Go fly away.
I mean, that you said that is one of the standout performances, and I agree. Team Europe came in as hot favorites. 23 World Championship titles from 7 of their athletes, plus an Olympic gold.
Right. How many of those are Danielle and Jan, though?
Well, a lot, but hang on. Doesn't matter. I mean, we still got Gustav has one, Holly Lawrence has one. I mean, obviously Sebastian Kinley, Patrick Langer.
Yep.
I mean, there's a team in there with just so much depth and World Championship titles. And there was one world title between the USA and international teams.
Is that all?
Katie Zafiris, 2019.
Wow.
Am I missing one? Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong.
Definitely none on the men.
And the US men, no, and the international men, I don't believe so.
No.
And then the women.
Lionel won long.
Okay, yes, and that's an important one, isn't it, Timothy?
Don't you snub that world championship?
I'm not snubbing it at all because there's somebody sitting right here that won an ITU World Long Course Championship. So
Greg, you're always the one that told me it's the only one that counts.
I agree, mate. So I correct it. There are 2 world titles between those other 24 athletes compared to the European team. So my point in saying all of that is what the European team came in as red hot favorites. I mean, really, to the point that it potentially could have been a blowout. It wasn't a blowout.
No.
And especially the way the US women started with Jackie Herring's performance.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Mother of 2, 3 and a 5-year-old.
That was a great race,
And that was incredible.
Because Jeannie can run, and they were...
Jeannie can run. Annie Hug can run.
Yeah. But she had a mechanical, is that right?
Is that what happened?
I think so, yeah. On the bike, maybe.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
Not on the run. She did not have a run mechanical.
Shoelace. Maybe a shoelace or a little bit of rubber coming off the sole. The other 2 great European performances in the women there, I really thought, I can't say enough about Lucy Charles-Barclay.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find the fact that she can do a super sprint race one weekend, half Ironman the next, Ironman 3, is it 3 seconds in Kona or is it 4? 3 seconds in Kona, I think.
That I don't know.
Somebody will have to let us know.
I rely on you for all that data.
I know, I'm usually pretty good at that, but I just don't want to get it wrong. I've been saying 3, and then I heard the other night at dinner somebody said 4, and so now I don't think it's 4 seconds.
Has she raced?
No, it can't be that much. But every time she goes, she gets second either to Daniela Riff or Annie Hug. But my point in all of that...
No, because Rennie was second in 16, right?
Okay, so she got second in 17, 18, and 19.
19, right?
Okay, thank you. There we go.
Yeah.
We don't need anybody to tell us. We know.
Yeah, we figured it out.
I really rate Lucy Charles-Barclay, the way she races, obviously off the front, and her run is just developing. And she had the second fastest split
she's been
the day.
Very, I don't know, just machine-like in terms of addressing.
Yeah, just getting a little bit better every year.
Yeah.
A little bit better every year.
Very thorough.
Emma Plant-Brown, who was sitting right where you are last week, actually.
Feel the energy.
Yeah, feel the energy. I thought her performance. I think she's one. Really, I truly believe she's the one for the future.
Yep. I mean, she's a 2-time duathlon world champion. I think is that right?
Yeah, and she has a second at 70.3 worlds.
I remember Rinny and I met her years ago. I think Phuket.
Yeah. Oh, right.
She's a lot younger, just coming up, and she's done so much since then.
I know. Well, I only just met her at your party.
Yeah, and she can save her a bottle of champagne.
I know. I saw that.
First try.
I saw that on your YouTube.
Yep.
Was it on her YouTube or Instagram? Somewhere I saw her smashing the bottle. Is that hard to do? I've never done it.
No, it's actually pretty easy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. As long as you you just stay calm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she did well.
She crushed
there.
it. Yeah. She made it look easier than it is.
Well, her and her husband Jared are a lot of fun. But yeah, I think those women really had great performances. And on the men, Jan Frodeno, unbelievable.
Seriously. just the excellence of execution.
Just stop it.
Yeah. Right?
Just stop it. It's too much, mate. It's like fastest split of the day, in front of Gustav Eden and 20 seconds in front of Gustav. It wasn't a lot, but still.
What Rennie and I were talking about this the other day. They're head to head. Who is Gustav out kicking Jan?
Oh, did you see Jan's kick in 2008 Olympic Games?
That's what I'm asking you.
I think Jan's got him.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an answer. That's a question for all the listeners out there.
I don't know if Jan shows up if he thinks he can't outkick him, right?
I don't know. I think Jan is to the point. He's 40 years old. He's won everything.
Yep.
He's making his own races up now and breaking world records. And, it's like.
What do you do when you've won everything? You make up your own
seriously,
race.
Right? He does. I was chatting to him after the race. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, Kona, we'll get onto that in a moment. We don't know when that's ever going to happen again. So you might as well make up your own races. And the guy, I think the amount of people that keep being outspoken, I want to take down Jan, I'm going to take down Jan. And he rises to the occasion every single time. And look, don't get me wrong, he's had his injuries and bits and pieces, but if Gustav Eden called him out and says, I want to race, or Christian Blumenfeld, I want to race, Jan's not going to shirk that. I think there's an inner self-belief, not so much a confidence, just a self-belief that he can do whatever he wants. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. I've raced him a lot in Kona.
Yeah, you have.
And the Jan that won in 15 is the Jan that won in 19 was a different Jan that won in 15. Like if I was going to beat Jan,
you need to do it. You had to do it 4 years earlier. Yeah, no, for sure. He's definitely gone to that next level, which made your race in 2019 even the more impressive. You were there.
Yeah, thanks.
It was there. You were there. Have a sip of your little brew there, mate. Or you go a little. When we talk this long, sometimes you get a bit dry. You know who else's performance I liked on the weekend, and nobody really spoke about it, was Sam Appleton.
Yep.
He had a crash. His face was covered in blood, by the way.
He crashed in the race?
Crashed.
I didn't know that.
I was talking to Jan after the race, and he said I dropped him. He didn't. I don't know if he knew he'd had a crash, or maybe he did. But Jan was away on his own, hammering. By the way, we had the fuss.
Yep.
And he said, all of a sudden, I go around a U-turn, and Sam Appleton's back behind me. It's like, what in the world? How did he get there? And then he's gone off to have a pretty solid performance after that. But I really felt like he tried to squeeze Jan pretty well. They didn't even draft each other in the swim. It was side by side the whole way, not giving an inch, a bit like the Holly Lawrence and Ellie Selthouse. Yep. That was fun.
and Rennie and I were talking about this matchup too, because this was, if I was racing, that would have been the matchup I would have wanted to. Because you rise to the occasion when you race a guy like Jan. You have a heart attack if you have to.
Do whatever it takes, mate.
But it was the perfect matchup for I think Apo, because he can swim and bike so well, and he's an amazing runner. He's not that.
Well, if it was Vineman or Santa Rosa, as they call it,
he is, man. He crushes that course every year.
Every year. I think if they moved it to there, I really think that Jan would have had a bit more of a push from Sam Appleton, because he's amazing there.
Man, I didn't know he crashed, though. That's impressive.
His whole face was covered in blood. Everyone's like, he's got a bleeding nose. And then somebody told me afterwards that he actually crashed. But
There were several crashes, weren't there?
Yeah, it was amazing. The women's race went off. Six matches went off, and then there was about an hour break before they started the men. And right before that hour was up, this storm came through, freezing cold. You know that European summer kind of storm that comes through. It's really cold, and that really just wet the roads. And people. I think Lionel Sanders went down. Sam Upton. We saw Holly Lawrence.
Yep.
She went down pretty hard.
And Lionel went down and still beat Sebi?
Yeah, he went down, still beat Sebi. I mean, that was a really fun matchup, those three. Big personalities, Sebi, Sebastian Kinley, Andrew Starkovich, and of course Lionel Sanders. And all of them had something on the run that was going to hold them back. Sebastian Kinley had an injury. Yep. Lionel Sanders had done an Ironman 6 days before with a 2:43 marathon on the back of it. And Starkovich just has his run legs that he struggles a little bit. You know what I mean? Yep. So it was always going to be this, but it was a really close race. It was the closest of all the races, of all 12 events. I think that was the closest. They were all within 2 minutes of each other. So it was a good little battle, that one.
Do you think some of the matchups could have been better for competitiveness in terms of down to the line racing?
I think they did really well in terms of putting together pretty good matchups. Like you tended to have Ironman runners in run group, Patrick Langer and Braden Curry and Matt Hansen in one group. Yeah. Like that made sense. I, as a team captain, would have changed things up if I was the US. Yep. Putting Sam Long against...
No, that made no sense.
It's like my strongest guy I put against arguably the greatest we've ever seen. Well, now I'm losing out on a potential win somewhere else, right?
Yep.
So I think that was a mistake.
Who would you put up against Jan for the US team?
That's a good question. Well, who's it? Maybe Starkey.
I was thinking, Starkey's
Yeah, because he could have... His swimming's not quite where it used to be, though.
But here's the thing. You can't bet that any of the guys... Matt Hansen could probably outrun or give Jan a running race.
Yeah, but he can't be there.
But he can't be there, right? Yeah. So then you have Ben Canute, Rudy Von Berg, if he had raced, he was sick, and then Starkey that could get off the bike with him, possibly.
I think had Rudy Von Berg started, and you had Ben Canute, and you had Sam Long, there's three very powerful middle distance athletes that all could potentially win any race, taking out maybe Jan Frodeno and Gustav Eden are probably that next little bit just above those guys. But those three could have won nearly any of the other races. And if you look, the US only got to win 2 races out of the 12.
Yeah, Jackie and
Taylor.
And Taylor, that's right, yeah.
Whereas the internationals actually won 4 races with Ellie Salthouse, Lionel Sanders, Braden Curry, and Jackson Laundry at the end.
Another great performance.
Yes, fantastic, right? So the internationals actually won 4, but because of their other performances, they ended up getting the broken spoke. They came last, as you said. But
I think you go with Starkey because
I
agree. None of them. Yeah, because it gives him the best chance of being second.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that. But anyway, I actually found the whole event was pretty great. I think. I was thinking it in terms of 7 hours, and you think of golf and you think of cricket, these long shows, and what this was trying to be modelling off the Ryder Cup and those long performances. I think the problem that happened with this event, and maybe I'm wrong, is that because it's happening pretty fast, if I leave the room for half an hour for whatever reason, I need to do a chore, which you do when you watch golf or cricket. You don't just sit there all day. You have it in the background and you come in and you watch a bit. This, I felt like I would have been, okay, what's going on? Where was the race I was following? What am I following now, right? It felt a little bit that it could get disjointed from the mad triathlon fan that's prepared to sit there for the whole day. Wonderful.
Right.
But when you're trying to reach out to the masses, people that maybe don't understand the sport of triathlon, maybe it would have got a bit confusing.
But with golf, I mean, you're hopping in and out of, different holes with different players.
I know, but it's moving slower. So you could go...
But you're always just cutting to, someone's pretty much hitting a ball every time you cut to a different
No, that's true.
shot, right?
That's true. But it's like if I'm watching...
But you can also keep track of what's going on with the graphics.
Yeah, so maybe that's what they need to have is a little bit more, graphics
but you can't
on the
miss
side.
crashes. There's 3 crashes. How many of them were on camera?
Yeah, I know. Well, we got to see Lionel's, Holly's. Didn't get to see Sam Appleton. There could have been more crashes, to be honest. And I think the director. He's got his work cut out for him too, right? This is the first time for everybody.
Yeah. So there's 48 athletes?
36. 36 athletes and 12 events.
Teams. All right, yeah. 12
so you had 12 motos out there, which is more than the Tour de France.
But there's still it's not like everybody's riding right together.
No, exactly.
So
you have one guy
that's
that's
really hard to capture everything. Yeah.
And that's where you go, okay, well, how do we make sure we capture everything? How do we get it so we can capture it all? Right. If you do loop courses, well, then you're going to have people overlaying each other, and that could get confusing too. So, but it's I think the idea is fantastic. You should have seen the athletes. I have never seen professional athletes that are so used to press conferences and everything be so nervous.
Really?
It meant more for them than the individual.
Yeah.
The pressure of performing for a team, you could see it. The energy was insane. I've never seen anything like it. Even the best of the best were still kind of nervous and like this.
Yeah, I mean, one concern is that I wasn't being a competitor. I wasn't too concerned with it, but you hear chatter about, okay, well, they're just going to take the money because it's parents' money.
100% not.
Yep. You didn't see any of that?
None of that. Awesome. I mean, that maybe some of the back, but no, the big names that were there raced like they were meant to be there. Daniela Riff, she was excited about that. I spoke to her a lot the couple of days. She was crooked the morning of. I mean, she was there to perform. They were wanting to perform. Now, look, you can talk about the money. Basically, the way the money works, if people don't know, is for this event is your world ranking determines what you're going to be paid on the race day. So someone like a Jan Frodeno comes in, top dog, Daniel Riff, the same. Yep. They're going to make the biggest checks. But I would like to see it more that I would like to see it broken into 2 parts. One, individual times, top whatever, you get paid accordingly. And then the team bonus, $500,000 to the winning team, 300 for the second, and 100 for third, or whatever.
Yeah, or I mean, I think there should be an appearance fee, 100%.
You do,
but I think there should be a combination.
Yes.
So maybe it's a flat appearance fee.
Yeah.
Because the sport needs to go into the direction where if you are going to race among the top 36 people in the world, men and women combined, then you can't be losing money on it.
No,
the sport needs to get away from that. Yeah. The fact that you go to a world championship and get 11th and walk away with a $10,000 bill for your a week of rental car and,
No, I agree with that.
We got to grow.
So it's almost
that.
a qualifying. You qualified. Here's your check. And that could be 10, 20 grand or 15 grand, whatever it is.
And then figure out some sort of, whether it's like bonuses for in your race, like third, second, first, second, third bonuses, or team bonus.
Definitely a team bonus. Yep. I think we had a race in Australia called the Fuji Xerox.
They did all get tag watches.
Yeah, I heard Tag have come on to the party and Tiffany Trophy and Tag. I mean, they've got some great companies partnering up now. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And now you've actually had the event. Now you can actually show footage and show what it's like. Now you have all
that content that you can use to drive.
Like, did you see the Team European celebration with all the champagne and everything and the photos? I mean, that's spectacular. It was great. Yeah. Absolutely spectacular. I thought it was brilliant. But no, I think as a whole, I think the event was fantastic. I hope I can be involved in it more in the future because I just enjoyed every part of it. And even when I, commentating for 7 hours, it just flew by. Do you know what I mean? There was because it was commentating 12 races at once. There's always something to talk about. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, and there's T.O. and, he's got good running form. You know what I mean? Like when you watch Kona Ironman, that's kind of what it gets. And,
especially if the camera's on.
Oh, for a long time.
The whole time, yeah.
This definitely was moving about real quick, and we were kind of going, where are we? Match 7. Okay, go. Which made it really entertaining for us to call. It was, and I was impressed with the little commentary team they had, to be honest. I think Vicky Holland was outstanding. Oh, yeah. Belinda Granger, love BG. Yep. Love it. You can't have a bigger race without BG on it. And the presenters they had, Alex Payne and Charlie Webster, I thought were fantastic on the ground. And And then, of course, Phil Liggett and Barry Shepley. Barry Shepley is a great anchor as well.
And Greg Bennett.
And Greg Bennett was okay. Anyway, let's move on from Collins Cup and the PTO. And I think we can leave that going. I think we give it a strong 9 out of 10, and especially for the inaugural performance. Absolutely. And I only am giving it a 9 because it's great to have that one, because it's like it can only get better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a fantastic first year.
Yeah,
and everybody just needs to understand that we're going to grow from here.
Absolutely,
and just be supportive, because this is a great thing for our sport. Yeah,
well, congrats to you, mate, for being there from the outset. And,
thanks.
Because it takes people to get on board early for these things to actually happen. Charles is the guy that's been driving it, but if you weren't there saying, hey, yeah,
absolutely,
maybe, you kind of go.
Rachel Joyce,
I know, Rach, yeah, I know. So congrats to you all, because it really was amazing, and I really believe it's here to stay, and I think it will grow. So I think that's fantastic. But let's move on to Ironman Kona. Delayed again. I mean, not their own fault. I mean, the mayor of Kona shut down, but
Ironman's doing everything they can to make that special race happen. And I feel for them, because their teams are working hard, and then they 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. But I feel like we're in this loop. Like, what are we going to do to break this loop?
I know.
We move it to February, and then we cancel it, and then put it back on in October, and then move it to February.
Yeah.
And this isn't against Ironman. Like we said, there's a lot of, state, city type of regulations here, but it's hard for the athletes to make plans. And I'm not just talking about professionals, but anybody that wants to go there. Yeah.
Everybody.
It's like, well, can I afford to pay for another VRBO condo that I'm not going to use?
I know. Well, what do you think about like this last one? It's just, what do you think about having another world championship just somewhere else in the interim? Like, obviously, Kona is Kona. I get it. It's the holy grail of our sport, and it's just.
I do not want to see the Ironman World Championship out of Hawaii, but I think it might be a better option than pushing it to February and then canceling it again, right?
I know, that's what I worry about.
So has it got to be Panama City, or where can you send everybody?
Well.
But I mean, international travel, the EU's.
They can't come to the US.
Well, I think they're going to shut down US coming over there. So I don't know if
right?
age group athletes come over here for World Championship, if they can get back.
Yeah. Is that what they're going to shut down? We can't go over to Europe now?
I read that. Yeah, they're looking into regulating.
I just went over and back real quick. Yeah.
You made it through.
5-day turnaround. Yeah, so that you're right. I mean, you can say, let's put it in Florida, because they're not going to shut down. But
actually, St. Anthony's was canceled.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, because that was moved to October, wasn't it?
That was moved. Yeah, Rennie was going to do that.
So, yeah, I just think it's just the world we live in then. Because, you can't have a world championship without everybody being able to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, we got St. George coming up, the World Championships in St. George, Utah, 70.3 World Championships.
Yep. And it'll be interesting to see the international field, the age group international field that comes over for that.
I just saw actually today, and we're recording the day after, 2 days after Collins Cup, Lucy Charles Barclay was already on a flight to California.
Really?
Getting herself over here quickly.
Doing the right things.
Yeah, and we know
that's how you succeed, right?
Emma Plant Brown's already back as well. She's here in Boulder. She arrived today. It's, if you think the world's going to lock down, get over to where it is, and maybe you can do it, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Because I really hope that's going to be spectacular, by the way. That 70.3 world champs, the women.
Yep. Is Taylor racing? I think she
Taylor's trying to get a start.
Okay.
Flora Duffy's racing.
I knew that, yep.
I mean, Daniela Riff is racing.
Yep.
Lucy Charles Barclay, Emma Plant Brown, Jeannie Metzler, who was second to Daniela Riff. I mean, the field, the women's race, we can talk about the men in a moment, but I think the women's race is outstanding.
Who would be your pick for that?
Don't put me on the spot with that one. My goodness, no way. I mean, Flora Duffy has just been absolutely on point, obviously. But even when she was on this show, she sort of said, look, I've hit my lifelong dream. Everything I do from now on forever in the sport is just an added little bonus. But I think what she's doing. She can swim, bike, and run.
Yep.
Daniela Riff.
She's tenacious.
Did you see what Daniela Riff did at St. George earlier in the year and had that 6 or 7 minute lead off the bike? Unbelievable. And then you look at these runners like Emma Plant-Brown. And then you go Taylor Knibb, if she gets a start.
Was it 18 70.3 Worlds where Daniela had a tough day and then she went and crushed Kona?
Was it? Yeah. No, 19. 18. Was it? Because 19 she won Nice.
Yep.
And then she won Kona. So maybe it was 18 she had won. I know she's won 4 Konas and 5 70.3s. Is that right? I don't know. She's won so many now. It's just becoming unfair.
But I think she probably isn't happy with that performance. Or I know she's not happy with that performance at the Collins Cup.
I'm tempted to go over and watch in St. George just because I think it's going to, although it could be better to watch on TV. I don't know.
Taylor, she's got a target on her back now.
I know.
You know?
But still, when you're that good,
she's
it doesn't matter.
Under the radar.
It's like Jan Frodeno's target. It still just rides away from you.
Yeah.
You still lose eyesight, right? You see it at the start. You're like, there it is. Oh, and it's gone. So, I mean, Taylor Knibb, she can lead a pack out of the water like she did at the Edmonton Grand Final. She biked away from a pack in Edmonton, biked away from them, and then she's got this solid run.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, do you want to go over with me to St. George? We could go over for the weekend, check it out.
Possibly, if we get a new nanny before then.
Well, I just figure you leave Laura and Rennie with the kids and we'll go over.
If LB can help with Izzy and Finn while Rennie trains, maybe that'll be our plan.
There you go. I think we're owed a few, aren't we?
Yeah, we do have a couple ball passes, don't we?
We have a few. All right, St. George, here we come. If you're listening to this, we just need accommodation.
Yeah, right.
A couple of electric bikes to get around the course. And all right. All right. So I think
private jet to.
Yeah, and if anybody's got a jet, that would really help. Mate, we've talked about a fair bit here today. This has been fantastic. Let's have a quick little bit before we sum up about triathlon as a whole. And, you know, you've been in it for quite a while. What do you think's been some of the biggest changes? Obviously, we've talked about Collins Cup and things, but what else have you anything stand out to you over time? Equipment, races, people, anything that's kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think the depth of the fields have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Particularly among the women. I mean, now you look at the top 10 women in Kona and the delta between them is a lot. There's some close racing going on now. And it's good and bad. It's amazing for fans of the sport. It's tougher for the athletes because the dollars that they're all using to pay their bills from partners, they're not increasing at the same rate as these amazing athletes are coming into the sport.
Yeah.
And then I think cycling, of the 3 sports, I think cycling is the one that's really come a long way. And I look at my performances in Kona, and my power in 2019 was actually lower than some of my other years, but I'm that much more efficient with my riding and my position and my aerodynamics. And that, allows for better running too, right? So there are definitely some, new training methods or strategies, whatever you want to call them. But I don't know. I think being so aero on the bike has led to some great running too.
I think the bikes have just generally got faster. The wheels, the bearings, the chains now are all greased up. The friction has been reduced. The tires. I mean, you look at all of those bits and pieces, and even, you listen to them. Oh, you save 5 watts here. I'm like, well, even if it's just 0.5 of a watt that you're saving on all these bits and pieces, and you're up to saving 3 to 5 watts overall.
Listen, I'd rather save 3 to 5 watts with my bike in my position than have to put that out of my legs.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely. Right. And so you end up either going faster or the same speed easier. And then, yes, I think bike positions, and then the physiology, like you said, the training, I really feel like the science has just come so much further than, I don't know. When I was racing, it was just go as hard as you can and see what happens. But
when you throw up, you stop.
Yeah. Or have a heart attack. You should stop.
Yes, please stop.
But what about if we talk about the athletes? And I just like to throw this around because it's fun. when we talk about greatest of all time and that kind of stuff. What do you think? What are your thoughts on all of that?
Oh, man.
It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
You don't have to,
I got to go with Jan for the men.
Yeah. It's hard to go past him. I mean, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got to. Mark Allen's always in the discussion, but the way Jan has figured out how to win on so many different styles of races is pretty impressive.
And like you said earlier, with a target on his back every single time, just handling the stress of it all.
And I mean, 2008 to 2019, so that's 11 years.
Yes.
Wins a gold medal in 2008 and crushes a Ironman course record in Hawaii.
But you know what's interesting about him? I actually don't think he has as much physical talent as you might, if you talk about some of the other athletes that would be in this conversation. I mean, the fact that he went almost 100 races before he won one, and which happened to be the Olympic Games, and then he backed up the Olympics, so it wasn't a fluke. He was always there in the World Series, racing Alistair Brownlee, Javier Gomez, Jonathan Brownlee for that 4 years leading into London. Almost won the World Series in 2010. He should have won it. Or 2010 or 2011 in Budapest, the grand final. And he just screwed that one up. And I think he's not happy about not winning that World Series. I think he had to finish top 4 or 5 and he just screwed it up. Anyway, and then he still went to London and came, I think, 6th. And then made the decision to go. My point is, with all of that, people could say, oh, he really didn't win a lot of ITU short course racing, but he did. He was there and thereabouts. And you got to remember, he was with, when we talk about the other kind of people that are going to be a part of the conversation, Alistair Brownlee, Javier Gomez, even Johnny Brownlee, he was racing them every single weekend. Yeah. I mean, every single time he got to race, and he was still on the podium or finishing right behind them. So in that short course generation, and then he came out and just crushed 70.3 in Kona, and what he's done there is unbelievable.
And he kind of spanned that, like, transitions, like in the ITU, where you're running with a guy like Simon Whitfield, and then you get this new generation that like the Brownlees crushing the bike, raising the bar, and you go with that. Yeah, you don't let it pass you by. So that's to be able to adapt like that and evolve is also amazing.
What if here's one. If Alistair Brownlee goes on and wins couple of Konas, does he have to win? How many Konas does Alistair Brownlee have to win? He's a 2-time Olympic gold medal. Like, to win one Olympic gold is unbelievable, right? I mean, this blows my mind. I've had them all on the show, and I just kudos to all of the Olympic gold medalists. To back Andy's first one with that London Olympics with all that pressure, unbelievable. And then he backs it up and wins another one. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean,
if you look at in the realm of ITU, maybe no one's dominated their sphere in the sport as well as that.
No, yeah,
but maybe not the range that Jan has had over the other distances.
And I think
has Ali won 70.3 worlds?
No, he's had second
to Jan
and Gustav as well.
Oh, 2 seconds.
I think 2 seconds.
Okay,
I think 2 seconds, right?
Yeah, you're right, because then that was in Nice, right?
Yeah,
and
Nice he got
Rudy
second.
was third.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you got Javier Gomez. What I love about Javier Gomez in this equation, the guy races everything and he races all the time.
Yep.
And even Alistair said it on the show. Nobody's won more races than Javier Gomez. Nobody's won more. The guy just keeps winning and winning and winning. And poor guy.
So in the ITU sphere, you would put Ali over Javier?
Yeah, I think because the Olympic gold is the most important thing in ITU. It's like
I agree.
You can win all these world titles, but you still got to win that. The ITU is about the Olympic gold. You have to win that. It's like saying you could win Roth and Frankfurt Ironman and blah, 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 blah. If you don't win Kona, you don't get to be called the greatest, right? I mean, you have to win Kona. And the way Jan lifted the bar in 2019 and that's what makes I know we talked about it before, but your performance in Kona when you went the 8:58 was 7:58, excuse me. 7:59.
7:59.
7:59.
Yep.
You just decided just scrape under it.
Yeah.
No more.
To celebrate a little bit in the finish shoot. It's the first time I ever celebrated in the finish shoot.
Wait, did you know how much time you had?
I saw it. I'm like, oh, I got to get going. I'm like trying to get the flag, undraped.
Yeah.
I had it the wrong way, but I'm like, I got to get it across the finish line.
I mean, being a Navy boy, you know which way the flag's meant to be, right?
Yeah. But I had this vision of running down and having the helicopter over me and seeing the flag. So in my head, I oriented it to the helicopter.
You're actually thinking about the view from the helicopter. But
then I'm like, oh, when you cross the finish line, then it's the other way because, and I'm like, I screwed that up. There was no helicopter.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're actually, how long had you been thinking about that?
It was just when I grabbed it. I'm like, which way did this go? And I'm like, then I just had that vision of the helicopter and like seeing the flag fly down a Leahy Drive.
Oh, that's hard. That's
right.
That's really hard.
That would have been an amazing shot.
Yeah. Where was the helicopter?
I don't know. Jan they'd already flown it back.
Yeah, they're already, he's been done for 5 minutes.
Yeah, right. They were actually already at the poolside bar having margaritas.
Oh, yeah. So what was your finishing time there? 7 hours?
7:59:41.
Oh, so you had another 15 seconds you could have played with.
Had a little bit of time.
Yeah, you could have probably corrected the flag.
I could have thought about it.
Yeah.
I could have listened for a helicopter and then spun it around.
That's great. I love it. All right, mate. Well, this has been brilliant. But I do want to finish with a few questions. You up for it?
Yep.
All right. These are 2 big questions that people can actually hopefully learn from. And then the next 15 are really fast, short, fun ones.
Yep.
All right. So first one, have you got a tip that you can give for people on just how to optimize their lives or their performances in the sport? It can be either or, whatever you want.
Sport or life?
You can choose.
It's a loaded question.
Well, they kind of run parallel to some degree.
I would say when you set your goal, you make sure you focus on the benchmarks that you also have to set to achieve that goal. So don't focus on your outcome. Always focus on the process to achieve the goal that you want. All the races where I focused on the outcome, I've been my worst races. Mm-hmm. I'm going to win this race. I'm going to break 8 hours of this race. Wah, wah, wah. You're walking.
Yeah, it's like focus on the process and enjoy the process, because once you get to the destination, half the time, it's great, but it can really be, if you didn't enjoy the process, you've probably missed the journey altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that's one of we've gone on a lot of rides together, and that's one of, I think, the things that I remember from you the most about, enjoying the journey. Yeah,
I think Hunter Kemper said it on his episode, it must be a year ago now, and he was really all about the process. Yep. And that's a really good way to put it, isn't it? Just focusing on the little steps, the process, and enjoying those. Yeah. And the outcome will be what the outcome will be. So I like that. All right. If you could sit and have a coffee with any living person, who would it be and why? And actually, I want to change that. It doesn't have to be a living person. If you could sit with anybody, ancient history, and you can sit with them and ask them anything you want. And it doesn't have to be coffee either. Can I keep it to living? Absolutely. Because then I'm like, oh man, I got to choose some it's hard to monumental historical figure. 3,000 years. When all I want to do is sit down and have a drink with Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. Perfect. At the Four Seasons Huala. Nice. Can I come? Yes. All right. Perfect. Let's do it. All right, here we go. 15 rapid fire questions. You can say pass, but pass. What is your favorite family vacation? Four Seasons Hawaii. With Dave. Here's one for you. Kona or Olympic gold? Kona. Okay. First car you owned? Toyota RAV4, purple. Oh my goodness. I know. Was it new or secondhand? My dad didn't like us. It was new. Well, he worked for Toyota, or he worked for he ran car dealerships, and he got a good deal on it. Look at you. How old were you? That was like whenever I could drive. My older brothers had it before me. Oh, okay. So it was kind of used. We all shared, yeah. I was going to say, spoiled little kid. 16. It was purple. I don't care. People aren't as nice as they are now. You're a high school boy going to a new high school in a purple car? Come on. Oh, that's true. It's amazing you don't have more mental health issues. Okay. What would you change about yourself if you could? I'd be more decisive. That would be helpful for all of us around you. Yeah, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or on time. And you'd be on time, yeah. 2 most used apps on your phone.
Instagram, unfortunately, and
That's it. Just Instagram. It's
Yeah.
a boom, boom, boom. Instagram.
probably Chase. Mobile banking.
Just mobile banking. That's all right. All right. Out of 10, how cool would you say you are?
I'd say I'm an 8 and maybe a 9.
Mate, you got a. I reckon what grabs you up to that 9 is that vehicle that's parked out in the driveway.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Now,
That's 9.5 now.
no 9.
9.5.
9.
With the Raptor.
You got that beautiful Ford 150 Raptor out there, but I think what would make you. Do you play the drums or any musical instrument?
I dabble in drums.
Can you sing?
No, definitely cannot sing.
You got a pretty reasonable radio voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But is radio cool?
No, but the radio voice is.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Outside of triathlon, if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would that be?
Sleep. All the parents out there know if you could just have like a quiet day.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be
that.
just a day with just me and Rennie.
I get that.
Yeah, like a day off.
You remember our wives? They were awesome.
Yeah, they were so great.
Now we got young kids.
Yeah.
I just have to keep going back to the memory bank. Just kidding, everybody.
We love our wives.
Absolutely, and our lives.
Yep, it's true. We're pretty lucky guys.
Yeah. Okay, which would you rather do? Wash dishes, mow the lawn, clean the bathroom, or vacuum the house?
Oh, mow the lawn.
Yeah, easy.
Cold drink.
Mm-hmm.
Shirt off.
Music playing, maybe in the headphones.
Cool factor's going up.
Yeah, cool.
Now I'm a 9.5. Right? Anybody?
I don't know that mowing the lawn makes you that cool, but the fact you're willing to do it, I guess. But okay, first job you ever had?
Detailing cars.
Really?
Yep.
How old were you?
I was high school junior, maybe.
Mm.
I didn't last very long.
No, but
I took too long. I was too.
detailed.
Yeah, I'm too. Yeah. They're like, buddy, you're.
Was your purple RAV4? Was it really detailed? Did you keep it really clean?
Oh man, no. I got a pickup truck my senior year.
Ooh.
I got a Tacoma, and I took care of that.
Wow.
I love that thing. And so I didn't get it till like the end of the school year, and then I had to go to the academy. You know, you report July 1st to the Naval Academy. I come home. I came home, and for Thanksgiving, the first time I was allowed to go home, truck was gone. My parents sold it.
Oh, they're brutal.
Yeah, they didn't tell me. They're like, oh yeah. I'm like, where's my truck? And they're like, oh, sorry. Yeah, we sold that.
Your parents, Babs and Deester, they're brutal. They're actually, in fairness, they're two of the most lovely people, wonderful people I've ever had the enjoy, drinking your wine with.
That would be a fun show.
All right. Who would you want to play you in a movie of your life?
Oh man. I don't know.
Come on. Think of an actor.
Somebody cool.
Okay. And probably not that good looking because that would not be too realistic.
Right. People say I do look like, I don't even know his name. I think he was dating Jennifer Aniston recently.
Brad Pitt?
No. Yes, that's him. That's it. I'll have Brad. How about Matt Damon? He's too old, maybe. Those guys are all too old to play me, right?
Are they really? No, they're all your age.
No, they're got to be in their 50s.
No.
Yeah, they're in their 50s.
They're younger than I am.
No way.
How old is Matt Damon? We should put that in your phone.
Do we have time to?
Well,
do we have time to Google things while we're on your podcast?
Probably, if people are still listening now.
They're long gone. 50. He's 50 years old.
He's 50. Okay, so he's my age. Well,
51 in October.
Okay, he's a year older, year and a half. All right,
Yeah,
so he's too old.
You're a lot older than me, bud.
He's too old for you, huh?
I think he might be too old.
All right. So who did you decide?
How about the dad from Modern Family, Phil Dunphy?
Oh, that you know what's so funny? He's so like you, it's unbelievable. It's almost like perfect. That's a really good one. Okay. What dinner could you prepare? What's your best dinner you could prepare?
Pulled pork, like slow cooked pork.
Nice. Okay. If you could invite 3 people to that dinner other than family, who would you invite?
Is Dave still in this one? Dave.
Is there a serious man crush going on here? Okay, yes. Yes, Dave can be in that. There's the music side taken care of.
Oh man, I don't know.
Some people already have answers for these, by the way. Yeah, they're like bang, 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 and you're like, wow.
Well, like something like Tom Brady would be cool, I guess.
That would be cool.
Would he be?
Would Giselle come too, or is it?
Yes, there you go.
All right, so Tom and Giselle.
Tom and Giselle and Dave Grohl. How about that?
All right, perfect. And I'll come along as well, I'll serve the food. All right. Which decade of music is best?
70s. And then 90s. I love 90s.
I know.
Yeah. I love my 90s rock.
Yeah, Third Eye Blind and all of those guys. But 70s, honestly, I'm a bit the same.
Yep.
70s, and I go into the 80s, but 70s, depending on some of those bands go into both.
Yeah, but 70s you get the singer-songwriter, you get a Paul Simon or Cat Stevens.
Neil Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
John Denver.
Yeah, Johnny D. And then you get Led Zeppelin. You know?
The Who, Talking Heads.
Yep, Talking Heads.
The Cars.
Very underrated.
The Cars, would you say? No, they're more 80s probably.
I would say early 80s.
Yeah.
You should know you're older than
The
me.
Cure.
I like The Cure, but they're 80s, aren't they?
I thought they were late 70s and they took that punkish into the early 80s, but you might be right.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're all great.
70s.
Yep. Okay. Good answer. Actually, Emma Pallant-Brown said she likes today's music. And the reason she likes today, she made a good point. She said, because you get all the great classics of the 70s and 80s and they just put nice different beats to it.
I don't buy it.
Emma, you hear that? Well, you don't buy it. Well, I get what she's saying. Like sometimes when they remix them, they can be a bit of a fun dance tune.
Yeah, but if it's that good, do you really need to mess with it?
I know. It's like I don't need to listen to Rocky Mountain High with a you know.
Right.
It's Rocky Mountain High.
Do they remix John Denver?
They should. They could try. But
we're going to be famous now.
Okay. What do you do on a day off?
I catch up on like admin and the work side of the sport.
Yeah, doesn't stop. Where is somewhere you haven't been you'd like to go?
The Maldives.
I'd like to go there. Laura keeps saying that. Let's all do that. Family trip. Okay, final question. Greatest movie of all time?
Naked Gun.
Really?
Yes, I love Leslie Nielsen.
That's awesome.
What a legend.
Is there one particular of those? Because how many of Naked Guns?
There's three, yeah. The first one is definitely the best.
Yeah. All right.
If any of your listeners are, Talbot Cox is, social triathlon media guy now. Yeah. But I showed him that movie and he's just like, oh my God, he'd never seen it before. This is amazing.
The greatest movie of all time. That's great. All right, mate. What's next? What's up for you now?
Just going to keep working on getting healthy and supporting Rinny. She's got a couple of races coming up. Augusta 70.3 and then hopefully LA Triathlon and maybe Oceanside in October. And so I'm going to be a little Sherpa role. And then let's look at 2022 and getting back into the racing.
Good man. And maybe a trip to St. George with me.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is awesome.
And I'm coming back with a bottle of wine soon.
Yeah, so we'll have to maybe make this monthly or something. But thanks everybody for listening and sharing the show and all your feedback. And you can find all of the show's timestamps and links and coupon codes at bennettendurance.com/media. All right, thanks again, Timothy. Stay on the line. Yeah?
All right. I don't know what that means.
Nor do I. All right, mate. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks a lot for listening. If you enjoyed the show, your support would truly be appreciated. You can visit the Patreon page or you can subscribe with your podcast app of choice. Don't miss the next episode, so subscribe and be notified. For show notes, if you want to know more, please visit bennettendurance.com. I'm Phil Liggett, and on behalf of Greg Bennett, here's to the next time, and I hope you will join Greg again very soon.